Why, hello there, fellow tailors. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to RimWorld, the Stalwart Ancients. Episode 13, Finally Ditching the Patient Gowns. As you can see above my head, we are currently in the process of injecting red mist with another gene. So red mist, so far, has gotten masterful plants and very unattractive as a, as the first injection, and she's wrapping up her second injection, which is guaranteed to be successful because she's the perfect patient. And we built some death rest caskets, and what I want to do is make sure that we have enough hemogen packs, because Breakfire doesn't exactly have a lot of blood available to him for stuff. So that's another thing to consider. Ideally, we'll be looking at taking on a prisoner sooner than later. At least one, if not two, in order to actually farm hemogen, because having to constantly suffer blood loss for loss of consciousness in our colonists in order for Breakfire to be upright is not at all efficient. You know, we want to avoid that situation. So if we get raided by, like, human likes, I will capture one for the sake of hemogen farming. Technically, you can spread his genes around right now. He's just got to succeed in a romance attempt. So, I wanted to pause a second, because there's been a lot of confusion about how this all works. And maybe it's on me for not explaining it well enough. So traditionally in RimWorld, you have germline genes, which is your genetic genes. Dark reddish hair, this pale skin color. And that's germline. That is the kind of genes that you would spread to offspring. Like dirt moles, wasters, impids, those are all germline genes. So 2 impids having a kid gives you an impid. 2 dirt moles having a kid gives you a dirt mole. An impid and a dirt mole having a kid gives you some sort of hybrid between the two, where it like randomizes the genes and keeps it within a certain metabolic efficiency. So what I mean by metabolic efficiency is, generally speaking, you can't go above or below. Well, you can go above +5, but you can't go below +5 or -5. Basically, you can't have super complex genes that like are game breaking. So there's a balancing mechanic for germline genes, and for xenogenes for that matter. Xenogenes is something different. So traditionally in RimWorld, xenogerm implantation is when you bank genes, you assemble them, and then you can implant them. And when you implant them, it overwrites your previous xenogenes. So if we made a xenogerm here in the gene assembler, and we implanted Breakfire would cease to be a single phage and become whatever we implanted him with. That's how RimWorld works. You can't add genes in default RimWorld. You just replace them. So hussars, starjacks, genies, and single phages are all species, but they're just genetically modified. So a genie is just a subset, and highmates too. Genies, highmates, hussars, single phages, and starjacks are all xenogene implanted. They're not a subspecies like Neanderthal or dirt mole. Which means that if you have a genie and you just implant them with single phage, that genie becomes single phage. Whereas if you have a dirt mole and you plant them with single phage, they're a dirt mole single phage. The two are very, very different. Alright, so that's how vanilla RimWorld works. In the vanilla expanded quests Ancients, the mod that I'm using here, the way the injections work is it adds 2 new genes, a good and a bad, and possibly more when you expand your lab, but a good and a bad on top of your xenogenes. Which means that if we implanted Breakfire here, he would keep the single phase genes and get 1 more archetype positive and 1 more negative. And that's how it works. And I don't know if I fully stepped through that explanation for everybody, but I wanted to make it like abundantly clear that the ancient program lets you like layer genes on top of one another, whereas the traditional xenogerm implantation does not. So implanting anyone with xenogenes resets them to 0, which means that if, like, let's say Red Mist pops out of here and the gene that she gets is like forced pacifism, it might not be a bad idea to implant new genes into her, because being forced to be a pacifist would be a real problem. So that would be a for instance of like when to reset genes, etc. And I hope that explains it well enough so that people understand the difference between the two systems at play. One overrides, one adds. And the xenogerm implantations can never add. They can only ever override. Alright, so now that Breakfire has basically harvested blood from everybody, his hemogen is not going to be dangerously low. And what I'm hoping to do next, as like a kind of a bigger project, because we do have technically the Death Rest Casket, so I'm going to get rid of that priority. It's injecting red mist and making better gear. So we have, so far, made reasonable guns. The SMGs we have aren't terrible, but the clothing we have is atrocious. And my plan is to make as many Thrumbo Fur button-down shirts as we are able. So we have 160 Thrumbo Fur. And we're going to get as many shirts as we can get. Because shirts, like, cover your torso, and that's going to protect us from, you know, stray bullets. Maybe. Maybe. Oh, interesting. Am I low on... Oh, you know what? I was low on limestone. Let's allow that. Alright, Inu is up. And I'm just going to have to be careful about blood harvesting, because if you harvest too much blood too quickly, it's like unconsciousness or fatal. And we wouldn't really want that, would we? Now we do have this little like prison thingy here. And I think what I'll do is I will I'll take Breakfire and build some beds in there preemptively. And if it's high quality beds that are better than the beds that we currently sleep in, which is normal, excellent, excellent, and excellent, we'll replace them. So 2 goods. Come on. 1 excellent. And a normal. I'm going to destroy the normal. Oh, no, don't start Death Rest. Oh, God. I barely stopped that in time. I'm trying to get an excellent bed to replace this one. Oh, that's unused. Never mind. Maybe to replace aggros. And the other thing we can do is to put a little table in here, put like a wall light, so they're not in the dark. Okay, they're all good, whatever. And then we might need a, I mean, I guess time will tell. We might need a, like a vent or something. Well, I suppose we'll see. So Red Mist is out in about a day and a half. And, once, maybe what I'll do is I'm going to switch the priority from smelting to tailoring to start to get the clothing that we want. So here's the deal. The patient gowns do cover torso, shoulders, and legs. So when we make the shirts, we're going to have to pair these with pants or it's going to get awkward for everybody. So plain leather or lizard skin, don't really care. And I'm going to make pants until we have, let's say 2. Oops, I shouldn't have cleared that. Actually, we'll say any leather is fine that is not Thrumbo Fur. And then we want clean pants that are like normal plus. And that will be the bill. Wouldn't be a bad idea, once we get a little bit more limestone, to have like clothing and weapons or something here. It depends on how many prisoners we end up getting. We might want to consider hiding or like controlling where the weapons are, because if you don't, there's the possibility of like prisoners escaping and then arming themselves, which would be a problem. But that's a complex problem for later on when we actually have the prisoners. Oh, that is not where you sleep. Why aren't you... What are you doing? Oh, you have a normal quality bed. Yeah, we need to fix some of this stuff. But here we go. Breakfire is going to be the first to swap out of the patient gowns. The other thing I might want to do is to have another shelf in the hospital, specifically for the patient gowns. And the reason for this is your surgery success chance, your treatments go up when you're in a gown. So the gowns are actually like a good thing to have in the case that you're going through a like a surgery or some sort. All right, there we go. So we'll get the prison all set up for the hemogens, and we're gonna roll out some fresh armor or fresh clothing, some threads. So if we take a look at Sharp 39 versus Sharp 12, 39 isn't really gonna protect you from much, but like, you know, it could protect you from like a fatal short bow or recurve bow shot or like auto pistol shot or something like that. It's better than nothing, certainly. Yeah, I think Breakfire's bed got reset when I almost death rested him. That is indeed, I believe, what happened. Alright, hospital beds are almost done being researched, and what would you like for me to research next is up to you. Timer is above my head. So we can do beer brewing, long-range mineral scanning. One thing, like thumb on the scale a little bit, I do not have a source of materials in order to make more components or bionics or armor or any of that. So you may want to consider that in the equation. It would mean getting rid of our ancient pipeline, but we can make, we have the ability to make chem fuel. I don't have the ability to produce plasteel or gold or uranium or any of that stuff right now. So I don't know if it's going to affect your voting, but, you know, you can consider that if you want. And I'm going to put aggro in the lizard skin and thrombo fur. And hospital is researched. Now, there's two ways to get minerals. The long-range mineral scanner or the deep drill. The issue with the deep drill, and I'll start researching that because that's leading the polls. The issue with the deep drill is the chance for minerals to be within our vault is really slim. And I'm not allowed to build outside the vault, which means putting deep drills outside the vault. Whereas the long-range mineral scanner requires travel. Not to be it wouldn't be much of an issue if and when we have a shuttle, though. Because we can just like drop someone like aggro off who mines just fine and have him, you know, mine the long-range minerals and then head back home. So there's a lot of solutions to this, of course. What is this, as the saying goes, multiple ways to skin a cat? I mean, I'm not aiming to skin cats, but I think you know what I mean. Alright, so if I'm not mistaken, I am out of thrombo fur. So I'm going to allow for... So in this bill here, I'm going to do until we have 2 again. 2 button-down shirts. All leathers except for thrombo. I might make like a thrombo fur cowboy hat for Breakfire. We'll see. 95 plus. Normal plus. That should be a pretty good clothing bill to keep us clothed. Another thing we might want to consider at some point is to get the gene extractor. I don't exactly know what gene Red Mist is going to get from the experimentation, but we could get... The only gene we could scan off of her is very unattractive, but very unattractive has good metabolic efficiency. And you can counter being very unattractive with, you know... Actually, we don't have royalty, so never mind. Take that back. I guess once ugly, forever ugly. Yes. Queuing up more of the limestone to be hauled so that we can cut stones for furniture and the like. And wow, you guys are just about tied. I mean, I could do both. I could have a long range and a deep drill. Deep drill is obviously more convenient, but only in the case that is within our vault, which is like not a great chance. So we might need to scan a lot. And then long range is more of a guarantee of what you get what you're looking for. But then, of course, there's the issue of getting there and back and the logistics of it. All right, Mr. Break, let's try for better beds. Here's a good bed. 2 good beds. You can do better than that. We have a lot of steel, so I'm just going to use up the steel, trying to get everyone to have, like, decent beds. Because, there we go, masterwork. Because rest effectiveness is obviously, like, a big deal when it comes to how long you have to sleep to regain your energy. And it would be ideal if everyone had, like, high-quality beds. So there we go. Break fire. And on top of that, it also increases the quality of the room. So I don't believe his room was slightly impressive prior to that bed. And that bed tipped the scales. Freedom by aggro. This furniture bears an image of a cloud of ash and smoke underneath and an intimidating cloud. Aggro is coordinating defensive maneuvers. So it's aggro in a flash storm. I mean, he does run around like he's Flash. So it looks like long-range mineral scanning is the popular choice. Got it. There might be a reason for us to consider taming donkeys. Because if we get long-range minerals and we don't have a shuttle, I don't really have a reasonable way of bringing them home. With that in mind, Red Mist is Herculean, so she can carry like a crap ton. Her caravan carry weight is 202, which is like insane. But, you know, even then we still might want some beasts of burden because she's not always going to be available for that. Right? Compared to someone at typical is like 75. So the question is, should I tame some donkeys? And we'd probably only keep them as long as they were useful, and replacing them with the shuttle when we're able would be the goal. I wouldn't keep them beyond their utility. Alright, so if I'm not mistaken, aggro needs a better bed, and then everyone will have excellent plus. Excellent is usually like the low threshold I set. So I'm aiming for one more nice bed, of which we are not finding. Is anyone good with animals? That's another good point. 4, 5 emu is a rocking a 5. Ooh, yeah. So donkeys, minimal handling is 0. I guess it's moot. But yeah, like anyone can do it because they're essentially like domesticated already. We would just need to go ahead and send someone up there to start trying. There we go, another masterwork. Aggro, that is yours. How do you plan on building a land pad later if the rules forbid building outside? Right here. This is roofless. I can put the shuttle right in there. Because that ain't outside. That's definitely inside. Just unroofed. I don't know why, but I'm trying for better beds. I got those 2 Masterworks. It's funny that I'm only getting, like, goods in Masterworks and skipping the whole, like, excellent tier. Like, I apparently am not allowed to have excellent beds. Truly. Okay. Well, I give it up on that. And it looks like you guys think donkeys are a go. Alright. So, the issue, of course, with the donkeys is, like, feeding them. I think for now, what makes the most sense is to create, like, a simple fence here. I'm going to uninstall the ancient lamp and drop the donkeys in here. Because I don't really have a better spot for them, not really. And, put the pen marker in there, and then we'll get some donkeys for long-range scans. So the current priority right now is, we got the better gear, I guess. I haven't gotten EU to change out of it, though. So, the apparel policies I have right now, I'm going to change to take off paint gowns. Because the pawns, like, are prioritizing wearing them, but I don't think that's wise. And I'd rather have them not. The next thing I want in the apparel priorities is dusters. Make until we have 2. Out of anything that is not Rumble Fur, high hit points, and normal plus. Now for aggro, I'll probably keep the Bandolier on him, just because of who he is and what he does. But for the other pawns, you know, maybe dusters is more reasonable. The Bandoliers and dusters are the same layer, yes. So they're conflicted. Kill 10 squirrels for 8 gold. I mean, I suppose if you're like super desperate for gold, but I'm not. All right, can you all collectively cross your fingers for me? For oh shoot, hang on. Sorry there, Red Mist. I'm glad I noticed. Got to be better at that going forward. Making sure that, you know, it's not like out of power when you're popping out. It's like, oh yeah, so we modified you with nothing because lab was out. All right, with that in mind, enter vault. We just used up the last of the chem fuel down there. No, not. Just put 300 more down there. The squirrels quest sounds like a beginner's quest for an MMO. It does. I'll give you 8 gold. Actually, no. Beginner's MMO quest would be for coppers. But other than that, yeah, I agree. I just thought back to like World of Warcraft. How much was a gold worth? Nah. No one would pay that much for some dead squirrels. All right, extracting hemogen from everybody. Ideally, what I would do is I would extract hemogen like while they're sleeping, so they can regain their blood when they're sleeping. But there we go. Red Mist is up. Red Mist obviously was oh shoot. It was successful, and it was worthless. So she got Marksman, despite the fact that she's a brawler, and then got Extra Pain, which is, you know, forcing the Wimp trait. So she's a wimpy brawler. This is why injections for the sake of injections without thinking about the ramifications of what the injections might bring is not necessarily the best plan. And she also picked up awful crafting. Yeah. Now, it might be worth gene scanning her for those genes. I think I'm going to do that. Because awful crafting is like a really useful gene to have for a lot of people. If they're starting off. Because obviously, Inu already has the xenogenes, but I could add awful crafting to it. It wouldn't be a terrible idea. Alright, let's carry Red Mist up to the surface. Yeah, I will say I'm not super happy with the results of that. I mean, who would be? And Breakfire is in the queue for the next injection when Red Mist is conscious. Yeah, the reason awful crafting is great is if you're not a crafter to begin with, so she had a crafting of 5, it offsets your metabolic efficiency so that you can have better genes without really much cost. So it wasn't me being sarcastic, it's actually terrific. But only for those that don't and won't craft. Alright, well, we got a donkey. Let's go ahead and name it. Again, just a fair warning. As soon as we get shuttles, we'll probably get rid of the donkeys because they will cease to serve a purpose. But, until that time... Donkey for you. Break. I do not want you taming. We'll have Aggro exclusively do the taming. Because he can, like, traverse the terrain in a way that others cannot. Okay. Might not be a bad idea to take, to keep the hemogen packs, like, in the kitchen. Kind of where we expect them to be. Should one of the chem gens down here be turned off again? I was going to wait until the batteries topped back up. And then do it. And Aggro is taming the donkeys, no problem. Now the other thing is, I probably want to sterilize them. Because I don't really need, like, a surprise amount of donkeys. So I'm going to create a hospital cloth bed to serve that purpose. And we'll just go with the male donkeys. Little snippy snip. And then the female donkeys will be left alone. Can we fix Red Mist's brawler without resetting all genes? So, not really, no. I mean, one of the ways to fix Wimp would be to implant a pain stopper. Which is... Do I even... Because I keep forgetting, like, what part of the DLCs are pain stoppers. Which isn't an implantation I have access to, given that I, again, don't have royalty. I left royalty out because I didn't want it. So no, we basically can't fix it. Unless we reset her to 0. But that's up to Red Mist. It's important to realize pawn owners have full agency over their pawns. So I am not making choices for Red Mist. Red Mist is making choices for Red Mist. So Red Mist can decide, hey, implant me with genes. Or Red Mist can decide, no, leave me. It's not up to me. It's not up to you. It's up to Red Mist and Red Mist only. Everyone has blood loss. Yeah, pain stoppers are like shrines only with the, well, I mean, it could be trade. Speaking of trade. So, yes, speaking of trade, let's see if we get lucky with like a magical pain stopper. So, pig voice and pink, I would say no. I'm going to sell some of their older weapons. I'll do the food for animals in a bit. It's gonna let them sweat. No, so we got nothing here. Just get the silver. So food for animals. That is probably gonna mean we're gonna need to shift the heal route over to more rice. We could also make kibble. So I'm gonna keep these, those ancient green beds as heal route. So over here, the problem with kibble, I guess, well, yeah, we'll make kibble, it's fine. I'm gonna have Break do it. And then over in the stockpile, we'll just plop some kibble down. All right, donkeys. Okay, that's an odd name for a donkey, but sure. Inverted sheep. And quack. What, do I have a duck and a sheep for donkeys? Oh my god. Okay. Well, sheep and quack are our donkeys. Because apparently being in a vault makes you have the goofiest, loopiest sense of humor. Good lord. Oh, well. Quack's gone to the quack dock. Gone all loopy. Alright, when we make kibble, just drop it on the ground, please. Let someone else run it around. Can animals suffer as well from staying too long on the ground inside? No. Animals need food and sleep, and that is their only needs. Alright, aggro. I don't see that you've been growing much, because you're on Super Hull. Okay, that's my fault. Go do farming, pal. Alright, red mist. Sorry to do this, but you're already... Oh, not blood transfusion. You're already out, so extracting a pack. You won't notice. Not only won't you notice... Oh, that shelf is correct. So this one was going to be for glitteral meds, medicine, and then body parts. Wow, I don't think I've ever had an animal or anyone get confused twice off of the same anesthesia. That's like honestly straight up impressive. And then I'm deciding to put red mist through a gene scanner because we could either pick up extra pain, which I don't want, but it would be good to implant extra pain in prisoners that are used in the xenogene farming. Because if they resist, we can just punch them and they'll probably go unconscious, right? Very unattractive or awful crafting. Really, any of them would help for prisoner hosting. Yeah, Quack, you got confused that you were confused. Yes. A new world record of confusion. Let's bring the meat out before it all goes rot. We'll flick off one of the generators in just a second. Oh, you know, I just realized this. We could use a tea and beer shelf. I mean, not that I'm making beer yet, but like, one might assume I will eventually have some. Where is all my limestone going, though? I had... Oh, it just hasn't been stored. That explains a lot. So, Inu, you don't like to be entombed underground? Oh, you can't even haul. Okay, go... I don't want you to shoot a cougar. Go shoot a snail. Oh, wow. You actually did a really good job. Like, for real. I'm just trying to give him, like, a little bit of outdoor time, because he was cooped up and losing it. And, yeah, let's talk to Hammer. Hammer the genie. You know, lovely that they put a genie in charge of the trade at 0. It could have been Hubbard at 7. Or Machinto at 9. But nope, the genie at 0. That's their nervous pyromaniac wimp is their trade person. Brilliant. I guess I'll sell a button-down shirt. Trying to get that silver. So, red mist. We got awful crafting off of red mist. Nice. One of the ones I wanted. And the way this works is now... She's already unconscious, but it would be about 19 days or 18 and a half days until she's able to go through the scanner again. Because there's a necessary cooldown. All right. I don't think... So if I send Breakfire through it, there's not a lot... Well, actually... Yeah, maybe I'll send Breakfire through the scan. Oh, never mind. Right, he's regrowing. Nope, I'm trying to... Okay. Aggro... We could get Poor Intellectual Tinder Skin off of you. Inu, we don't need, because that's all genes that we have. I'm going to send Aggro through it. Poor Intellectual wouldn't be terrible. I don't care for Tinder Skin, though. But Poor Intellectual, if you're not already a researcher, is like free metabolism. Also, Aggro, I haven't... Oh, well, that's my fault now. I was going to say, I've noticed that the farm has not been farmed at all. So I'm going to put Flip in charge, even though it's he doesn't have like the masterful boosted yield. I was hoping that Inu would put the book away on the shelf. They patched it so that people that are incapable of hauling will still put books away. We'll see. I'm staring at you. Yeah, he did it. Alright, let's flick off one of the chem gens now. We don't need both. I mean, truth be told, we don't even need 2 either on. We'll just leave it like that until red mist is up and breakfire can go through a scan or a implant. Yeah, Inu is a she. So Flip doesn't have any xenogenes, and maybe what we could do is wait until we've scanned some xenogenes so that Flip gets decent genes. But again, it's up to Flip. It's up to the pawn owners. I won't be making any of those choices. Thank you for tuning in to RimWorld, the Stalwart Ancients, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow ancients.